I'm super excited about this boot camp. We're highlighting two realtors in the Roanoke area that perennially just kill it and crush it, and they do business the right way on top of everything else. Gotten to know, I've worked with Mac for I'm not sure how many years now, but veteran, still serves our country in in doing things with the Army pretty consistently. Was a police officer for a long time. So he's served in jail, not as an inmate, but on the outside of it. But really good realtor as well. And then Hal and Kris, anytime we're ever on ends of a contract together, when I see their name on a contract, it's always a delight to work with them. I love their faith-based approach to everything that they do. And I thought it would be very good to have a husband and wife team on here too. My wife and I tried the husband wife approach in mortgage lending about 20 years ago, and I think it lasted for about a week. And we knew that that was not the thing for, she probably knew that it was not the thing for her. And so she's been a huge supporter of my business, but she supports me better from afar in Rocky Mount. But um, so it's a delight to see you guys and to watch both of you and all of you have the success that you've had in the industry and in Roanoke. So I'm not going to share a whole lot more. I want this to be about things that you guys can share and help others. The one thing I do want to say to everybody here, because if I look back over my years doing what I'm doing, which is about 30 plus years now in mortgage lending, one of the defining moments of my career was when I started holding myself accountable and developing relationships with people of where I wanted to get to and hanging around other people. I've heard the cliche, it goes something like if you want to be an eagle, hang around eagles. If you want to be a turkey, hang around turkeys, right? Well, these people are eagles in our industry. And it was just one of the things that when I started being around the right group of people, my thinking started improving because not so much of me, it was because of who I was associating with. So I just want to put that out there. You're getting exposed today to people that are flying at a really high level and doing it the right way. And most people that are doing it like that love sharing with other people. So hang around them whenever you get the opportunity. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun the next 56 minutes of kind of getting to know them a little bit better. And so I'm just going to kick off some questions, but I've got a list of some questions. If you all have questions, again, please drop them in chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat room because I want to make this about what you all want to hear from them. I did tell them we're not getting into what their secret sauce is. So we're not getting into their specific marketing tactics and things like that. It's really more like mindset, work-life balance, some things that I think we all could use to improve our career and our life. So let's just start at the beginning. Mac, I'll start with you. But here's the question. When you look back at your first few years in real estate, what is one thing you wish someone would have told you that would have changed everything maybe a little quicker?
I believe right out the gate, and it's very hard for a new agent to wrap their head around this just because of the finance related to our industry and things of that nature. But hire a transaction coordinator, 100%. Um, all of us either like the real estate side, don't care too much for the admin side, or vice versa. If you don't care about the real, if you can't manage the real estate side, you should probably just be a TC. But that right there, and not just any TC, and you didn't mention, but Madison is on here, and I don't like to call her my assistant because she's truly a partner. Um, I could not be here today if it wasn't for she and I crossing paths and me being able to see the value she provides. So find that person that can do the things that you don't like to do. and do it early so you get used to that and you can build your business around that model.
I think it's interesting. You came right out of the gate with transaction coordinator, but I know for me too, the one of the key components of growth in my career was hiring my first team member, and it's risky. It's very risky to do because it's like, what if my pipeline dries up and I still need to pay this person that's on payroll? Like it's a little scary. How did you overcome that? Like, did you have that fear?
Well, I had all kinds of fears starting out, a fear of not succeeding, a fear of a lot of things not happening. But you don't necessarily have to hire a TC that's a W-2 employee. You hire somebody that's just what their business is, and you use them for your transactions. Uh, and and you will eventually get to a point where you just bring a TC on full time as that you can wrap your arms around as part of your team. But you don't necessarily have to hire somebody and have that expense. There's companies out there. In fact, Madison has her own company. She does TC for Charlottesville agents, other Roanoke agents, agents in my brokerage. She just happens to be a personal partner and an assistant for me, but that she's that person for other people. And I'm telling you, it is a game changer to do that.
So you had mentioned part of what you said too was it allows you to focus on what you like to do.
Yeah, that's right. 100, it absolutely does. Allowed you to just get out there, um, and hit the streets and do the things you need to do, and let that other person manage the behind the scenes for you.
Yeah. Since he's not on here, I'm going to pick on him, but my son CJ, which Dixie and Ellison know quite well, is CJ a great detail-oriented person, would y'all say?
Yes.
He's awful, like awful, but he is a prospecting machine. And
Yep.
when he found the right person to do the detail work in his business, he took over the reign of the number one loan officer in the family quickly, which kind of ticks me off, but it is what it is. But he's really, really good at prospecting. But it's what you said, it's finding what your strength is, spending the majority of your time in that strength, and then delegating to somebody else that can do those things for you. So um, I, it took me 11 years in my career before I took the bite of having an assistant. So yes, I wish somebody would have told me that sooner too.
Hmm.
For Hal and Kris, going to you guys, what is something you wish someone would have told you a little bit earlier?
Well, I'll start off with with Matt coming out swinging with leverage up front. That was a crucial transition for us as well. And like Mac was saying, like for us, like whenever we have our team huddles in the morning, and I'm talking to Judy, who's our transaction coordinator, and we actually pay her per transaction, so that's an option as well. Like, hey, if we don't close, then yeah, you get paid at closing per se. And then I guess you have to figure out a way though if you don't close to still get them paid, but a little bit less risky. But with that, it's like we'll be on the call. Say, oh, I've got 18 tasks I've got to do. I have to get done today related to an actual transaction or transactions that we have going on. So if I had to do those on top of everything else I do, I would never sleep. I would just be working, working, working 24/7, and that's not feasible, and you just can't do it. I mean, we have our seasons where we're super busy, but to be 24/7 is not going to be healthy, and you're just going to run yourself into the ground. So anyway, I just wanted to piggyback off that, saying, yeah, that was a huge game changer for us as far as our business being able to grow. Because otherwise, you only have so many hours in the day, so many minutes that you can take care of what needs to be taken care of. And then also, you want to make sure you're having a great experience for your clients. And the only way they're going to have the best experience is to have other team members that can help, because you cannot do everything and do it as well as you're going to want to do. So, coming out swinging with that was a great first response there, Max. So we are on board with there 100%.
Well, I learned from you, Hal.
And then on the question side, how we get there? What we've kind of discussed is I always say that if you're starting in real estate, the business itself, whether you're a lender or a realtor, it's not hard. It's just hard work. then you have to know kind of like what work needs to be done versus just like kind of just throwing it at a dartboard and figuring out what I'm going to do for the day. So for me, it's like the people think they want to get into real estate because it's going to be, or lending because it's going to be easy or fun and it's not going to be a whole lot of work to it. But if you don't want to work hard, then you just need to go ahead and just close up shop before you even get going. Because you know, the rewards are great, but you got to put in the work, and it's going to take a while to get that to the point where it's a little bit more of a well-oiled machine and you're always going to be improving. So that's what I wish somebody had told me, I guess, and that I've learned through the years is it's not hard. It's just hard work consistently over time to actually be successful.
And I always tell people when people approach me like, oh, I'm thinking about getting my license. I'm like, let's talk. Because the biggest piece of advice that I wish we would have had was it is not as glamorous as it appears. And you need to go in with your eyes wide open. So we always we invite people to have coffee with us and, hey, we're going to show you the good, the bad, the ugly of real estate and the industry. And really, you just have to understand that there's not as much flexibility as you think that there is. You know, if we had a nickel for everyone who said, oh, I want to get into real estate because I want a flexible schedule. Yeah, well, that also means that you're flexible at 1 a.m. still working on contracts. So, yeah, I think that just going in with a realistic expectations will set you up for success.
And Jonathan, you asked the second question, a follow-up about when did I realize I needed to get to that point to hire a TC? Well, I tell you, when you miss a deadline and you cost your client money, and then in return, that money is coming out of your commission, I think you'll start realizing that it's not that having a transaction coordinator is going to cost you. It's what's the cost of not having the transaction coordinator. That's really where it is. Yeah.
That's huge. We just had that happen about a couple months ago. I did for the first time in 12 years. And I was like, even though I had a transaction coordinator, so I was like, oh my goodness, what did we do wrong here? So we have to improve that process, right? To make sure that doesn't happen again. It was just based on assumption in my brain of what we normally do. And it wasn't the same in that contract. So it slipped through the cracks and I take full responsibility, right? But yeah, that's critical. Yeah. If you're looking at the fact that it's going to cost you business and it's going to hurt your clients and you look at it through that lens, then you're like, okay, I can't not have that person to help everyone through the process to make it win.
I want to share something I've just heard from both of you guys, and this is not scripted whatsoever. Most of this is not, by the way, but I think this is really important because Mac mentioned this and then you all just mentioned it as well. You don't have perfect businesses, right? And when something happens, what I see that is a common denominator among highly successful people is extreme ownership of when something happens. You own it, you don't pretend that it wasn't there. You own it and then you fix it. So I mean, it feels like 30 years in this business. We're still tweaking stuff. Like we just literally worked on our client process again last month. And I don't know how many times I've done it in my career, but it feels like you're always correcting and making adjustments. And we had a client give us pretty negative review a couple of weeks ago, and I don't agree with 90% of what he said. And we all know you're going to have some clients that there's just no satisfying whatsoever. And he, in my opinion, was kind of one of these. Now, all that being said, a person's perception is their reality and their truth. So I may not agree with it, but his perception was this, and I need to understand that and deal with it so we can make corrections to not have that happen again, right? So, I mean, thank you for taking extreme ownership and admitting that, being vulnerable and sharing that, because I think that's huge. I think that's big to do. So I'm going to shift a little bit, and I'll start with Hal and Kris on this one. But one thing I will say, a lot of times working with realtors is when they're looking at their business, they're focused on, a lot of realtors are focused on tactics, strategies, what the next script is, how to overcome objections, what the next marketing tool is, or bright, shiny object to try to get more leads or referrals. Not saying that none of that stuff is important. I think all that stuff is important, but I get the sense from you all and from Mac too that how you think about business is different than how the normal agent may think about your business. Um, how would you describe that? Like, what do you think? How do you think about your business, for instance, of prospecting and getting it? I'm not asking you to share your secrets per se, but just how you think about it.
Yeah, well, I think, if you're in the business to make it a business, then you're always thinking of how can you grow, how can you improve your business, how can you know, make more money maybe, how do you do that, right? So you might start wanting to chase those shiny objects per se, because everything looks great whenever they email it to you or you see a webinar on it, that type of thing. But that distraction is gonna kill your business. And we've been through seasons of that where we've gone like, okay, we've got this going on, for us, and this being effective. This is effective, but what else can we add? And then by adding, we're actually subtracting from the other parts, right?
Yeah.
So what we had to do is take a step back and really continue to refine what we're currently doing to maximize the throughput and the output of that on the marketing front for us and the relationship building for us. And then at some point in time, we can add another pillar or another option. But until we've squeezed every single ounce that we can out of that turnip, we don't need to be adding anything else. But we are guilty, especially me. I am Mr. Visionary. I am Mr. Like, okay, we can do this, 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 and this. However, we found that actually impacted us negatively versus positively. So we've, over the last probably year and a half, 2 years now, we've been more laser focused on just creating more impact with what we're currently doing versus adding something new. And then for those of you who don't know, like for us, basically all of our business comes from YouTube and referrals right now, basically. So we get relocation folks that know us, like us, trust us. They watch hours of our content before they reach out to us. So they're already got an instantaneous connection with us. They think we're movie stars, which, we're just Hal and Kris. We're just normal people.
So normal.
But it's just like, yeah. So as normal as we can be. So anyways, it makes it effective on that front. But, it's like when other things come, like, okay, we could do that. And that would kind of aligns with how we like to do business, because I don't want to be cold calling. I don't want to be doing a ton of phone calls every single day. And there are people that love that and have a successful business through that. But we found what works for us mentally, physically, emotionally, as far as like what gives us the best return on our investment of that. And so that's why we do what we do the way that we do it. And we just have to continue to optimize it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you guys a question before I move to Mac on the same thing. Because I know you guys are faith-based as well. Faith is a big part of your life. If you had to say what your spiritual gift is, what would you think your spiritual gift is?
Yeah, I mean, we've both, as a family, we've done our spiritual gifts. You're like 3 of them.
I'm like 3 of them, though. I did not have a specific one.
Clear.
I don't have clear
You're
purpose.
Very blessed.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we know what yours is.
Yeah, well, actually, mine is faith. So and which is wild because I'm a very structured person. We work together well as a team. This is for the husband-wife teams. I see the barbers on here. We work well together because we stay out of each other's way. I think that's the best way to put it. His strengths are very different than mine. I won't spend a lot of time on that, but sales and real estate I'm not gifted in that at all. I am gifted in admin and caring and faith. So I pray a lot. Somehow our business gets through because we have faith that it does. But he's putting a lot of hard work and effort behind the scenes. But I think you have a lot of empathy.
Right, and I
And
think I'm like servant minded. So like
yeah.
just me, I'm more servant oriented. So that's where, like we're always trying to have like 5-star experience, but you want to have in business anyway. But I mean, that's just like deep inside of me. That's important to be the light that God calls us to be in our business. So if something goes sideways or somebody gets agitated and stuff, it really does hurt me kind of to the core because I'm like,
Yeah, we get that.
I really am trying to do this through the lens of being Christ-like and being, who God wants me to be. And so for somebody to think that I'm not, then that does definitely hurts my feelings, which it probably shouldn't. Just give it to God. But so yeah, so it's all about service for me long term with everybody, and I think that's one of my gifts from God as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that I'll just add into this, and some folks have heard me say this before, but I think when you find and understand what your spiritual gift is and how God designed you, and then you use that,
Mhm.
I grew up going to church all my life, and I've always heard using how you use your spiritual gifts inside church. But
Hmm.
it took me a long time, about 56 years of life, before I realized, oh, that could be used in business too.
Hmm.
So like if you were to ask me the same question I asked you, what's different, how my mind is different with business and prospecting, it's using what I feel like how God wired me to
Mhm.
lead my clients and to lead the people that I work with. And when you serve in how you're wired, I think it prevents burnout. And I think it
Mhm.
also helps you really connect with the right people that you're supposed to do
Yeah.
life with and business with. So, I mean, what you both just shared, if you think about that too, I think that shows perfectly in how you all do business. Um, Mac, how do you think about life? How do you think about business a little different?
Well, um, there's only a couple ways to, and I'll just say skin the cat in this industry to really do business. Transactions are, while they're all different, the process, it's all particularly the same. So when I ventured out on my own, and I wanted to provide not a experience that nobody's ever had. I wanted to provide an experience that people expect to get from that professional in that industry. And we hear it a lot um, from clients that and I know Hal and Kris has heard this, clients that have bought homes, purchased homes before, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this was nothing like that first house I bought. It was a train wreck of an experience." Well, that's not what we don't want our client to use a different realtor, and then now that's what they're saying from their last experience.
Hmm.
So we're trying to provide a service that's expected of us in our industry, ethically, professionally, in any other way that you can think of it. Now and I don't know that we're so different than some of the other people out there. Maybe we are. I like to pride ourselves to think that we are the go-to people, that we're not going to lose a client down the road. I mean, that's a gut punch, right, Hal? When we see a picture of a closing and we're like, wait a minute, I sold them that house. That's kind of a gut punch.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like you, how I take these things. I will skip a meal if I see that photo. I'm just like sick to my stomach
Mhm.
when I realize, and I look, especially when you look back and you're like, man, that was a great experience we had with them.
Right. Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I can't even eat dinner that night. I'm just so taken back from it. So we just want to have that honest approach, be straight up with our people, and have it be a great experience. And I think we do that. And of course, like you said, Jonathan, somebody left you that review. There are just people that are just going to do that. You just can't please them.
Right.
And for those individuals, when I see something, sometimes I'm like, well, okay, I'm glad you have a picture with another realtor on a closing because I really didn't want to help you sell that house. No, but we just want to be honest and just do the right thing by our folks, and just and I'll throw that out there too. Sometimes doing the right thing, it doesn't feel like it.
Mm.
Maybe we're having to, help them with something out of our commission, and we hate having to do it because we like to eat, right? We have bills to pay, we have a building to pay for, and but that's still the right thing to do. We may not like it. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not the right thing. But we harness that, and um, we have tried to surround ourselves with people that are in our business that feel the same way, like Jonathan, our home inspectors, our contractors, are the people in our circle that are going to be part of that transaction. We want them to be the exact way we are. If they have to bend for something, we want them to feel like it's the right thing to do because at the end of the day, our client's best interest is what we have.
Hmm.
Um, and that's how our approach is to our business.
Yeah, and I would wholeheartedly agree with you just from working on, both of your transactions. Both of you are not the average realtor, which is why, number one, you've been asked to be on here because you're above and beyond. One of my favorite books ever that's applicable to anybody, I think, is Raving Fans, and it's understanding how to create a business that creates a wow service. And I think this is good for every realtor here to hear. And if there's a loan officer, because I didn't realize it until this morning, but apparently we invited loan officers too, which is perfectly fine. But, if you're in my industry, I think a lot of times we think, well, if we offer a great rate, we we're accurate on what we quoted on closing costs and we close on time, we've done a great job. And this is kind of what Mac was just alluding to, is that's not a great job. That's just meeting expectations,
Hmm.
right? That's not stellar. It's just doing what you said you're going to do. Like you can, if I ask Frazier to list my home and all he does is come put a sign in the front yard and maybe does a Facebook post, well, that's kind of what I'm anticipating to happen anyhow. What are you giving me that makes it something to go, wow, you know? And even with that, sometimes you may still, I mean, it's funny. I mentioned the one guy that we had leave the bad review. And since he's left a bad review, we probably have gotten 10 5-star reviews since then of everybody saying the complete opposite of what he said. So it's reassuring. I think we're doing something right. But at the same time, we can always learn. But the point is, going back to what all of you said, you got to be something different. And it's not being different is not just doing necessarily what's required, right? Um, anyhow, awesome.
And it may not be always doing something different. It's just doing the right thing that's expected of you. I think the ones who
Yeah,
aren't, they're the ones doing the something different, right? So we need to do what's expected of us at a high level, and everybody
yeah,
else can do something different, and that's going to look opposite.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, let me add into that just real quick. My favorite question to ask on every single new client, what we call intake form, is what are three things you're expecting
Or
from
looking
your
for.
and looking for from your realtor? And I love that question because it gives them a voice, it gives them an opportunity to be heard, and it helps me understand their experiences and expectations. But I will say, in the over 400 intakes I've done, three things always come out, and y'all have hit on them. Well, the first one, honesty. Just be honest with me. Make sure I don't mess up or get a bad house. And then the second one is communication. Just so stay on top of communication. Don't let me feel like I'm out here alone. And then the third thing is experience, whether it's experience of knowing the knowledgeable about the area and also the process. But so those are three things that we hear from our clients, again, over 400 times, is honesty, communication, and knowledge and expertise. So for what that's worth, it doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be glittery. You just have to be honest and real.
yeah. That's awesome. Um, cool. All right. So here's something I'm curious about from all of your thoughts on it. I think all of us in sales, we start every year with some great intentions, great goals. Maybe you do a business plan, um, and then somewhere between maybe January 15th to, let's say, August 12th, things fade. Okay. And we're completely off track. So, what are some things that you all do that you feel like you do consistently, and what does that look like that adds value and helps you stay focused on your business? Hal and Kris, start with you guys.
I'll let Kris start and then I'll fill in.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. We learned this a long time ago from a coach, and we have to constantly come back to this because we're not as consistent as we want to be. But here's what it boils down to. You have to know your non-negotiables, and
What would be non-negotiables?
Those daily commitments that are revenue generating, that are pushing the business forward. And we ideally do those in the morning, but and you can talk about that, but yeah, it's just, you have to do the non-negotiables. If you know that analogy of having a vase and you have a bunch of rocks and the rocks are different sizes, if you put those big rocks in first, which are those non-negotiables, then you have time for the little rocks in the sand. The sand represents things that are urgent that just pops up, but it can really clog your day. So if you do it just the opposite and you wake up and you're just like doing inspections and repair addendums and phone calls and blah, 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 it's death by 1,000 bites, right? And you've got the sand that fills up and you have no time for that prospecting call or, those things that are moving the business forward, revenue generating. So it would always be.
For those in the back of the room that aren't listening, I want you to listen to what Kris just said, and I want to repeat it because you said you do it first thing in the morning before what? Did you say inspections and other things too?
Yes.
Interesting.
Our calendar is blocked.
Prospecting comes first.
Yeah.
You got to keep that pipeline full and keep it moving, because that way, whenever you hit drama and your things are going sideways, which they will inevitably do, you're like, okay, I've done everything I can, but just because that falls off doesn't mean I'm not going to be fed for the month, right? So, but it's hard. I mean, I'm definitely guilty. I mean, you've got like 6 or 7 transactions that are all going sideways at the same time, and you're just dealing with fire. And then you have to recalibrate and get back to that specific rhythm and that process of protecting that morning time frame. So now what I was going to say on top of that is that, with us having our YouTube channel, we have committed to doing 1 video a week. Mm-hmm. So we've done a pretty darn good job of not missing those, or if we know we're going to miss some, like batching those ahead of time so we don't miss distribution and getting that out. So that's something that is like a non-negotiable. It's like somehow, some way we've got to figure out how to do it. I mean, one year we were down at the beach during COVID and we filmed a YouTube video down there so we could make sure we had that, kept up that consistency, right? So yeah, it's every coach you ever talk to, figure out what's going to move your business forward. And if you need help doing that, if you're a newer agent or, that type of thing, I mean, we're happy to have a call or meeting with you. I'm sure Mac would too. It's like, figure out like what actually works for you and what can you commit to every single day. Even if it's just like, say, hey, I'm going to send 5 or 10 text messages. Yeah. Or primarily for me, I do video text messages because they're more impactful and they're going to actually get a better open rate. And you can do it via text message. You can do it via Facebook Messenger. There's so many different ways to skin the cat, per se. Like Max said earlier, when it comes to growing a real estate business, that's what I love about it, is the fact that you can choose like 1 of 10 different routes to go to build your business that resonates with you personally, professionally, your family, etc., your faith. and because you're your own business owner. So just be consistent.
Yeah.
Every morning, even if you just start out with 30 minutes every day to build that muscle, that's going to put you in a better position the next day. And we're always looking for 1% better every day versus like I've got to go from 0 to 100, because that's not going to happen. That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love everything both of you just said on all of that. One of the things you mentioned, Chris, but it wasn't your emphasis, which is great, but I just want to come back to it, is you said your coach led you to do this, okay, and emphasize the importance of it. Here's something else that I just know from me, being consistent with things into August, the middle of August, versus giving up the middle of January, is being coached and having accountability. Like if you want something that's changed in my career, that's probably it. It's the A word, accountable to somebody.
Yep.
And have a boss, because here's the thing, most realtors don't have a boss. If you work at Keller Williams and you do two transactions a year, it's not like they're going to fire you unless you just do something unethical, right? Then they may let you go. If I do a loan a month, I'm not going to get canned at integrity. But that's a disservice to me, and my family, and to God if I'm playing at such a small level when I'm created to do more, right? We need a higher authority that we're answering to. And I think it's one of the negatives in real estate and mortgage lending is that we don't have a boss that is holding us and holding our feet to the fire. So having a coach, I will always be coached until I give this up and hang it up, because I need that in my life, right? So
100%.
I just want to emphasize that as something they both mentioned that is a game changer too. All right.
And that's a mindset shift too, Jonathan, because a lot of people, they don't want to be held accountable.
Nope.
Especially in today's society, right? It's like, so from that, it's like you have to be willing and able and be receptive to that versus like, I know everything. And and sometimes it takes you getting hurt or burned or like just saying, okay, I have got to figure this out, and desperation that you get to that point. But I see that a lot in conversations we have. It's like most people, they say they want accountability, but they say it just to say it versus like, yeah, once I get in here, I'm going to truly be accountable. So I would just say accountability is huge, but not everybody is going to be open and receptive to it, sadly. And then they're not going to be successful long term.
Yep. So true. Mac, what keeps you consistent? Is her name Madison, or is there something else that helps you stay consistent with me?
No, honestly, I bring her up a lot because she's deserving of it. Yeah, it's for everybody, it's going to be something different. And Chris, you mentioned like when people say I want to become an agent, you tell them, you're like, well, we need to talk. Go into this eyes wide open, and we get it too. And how I'm sure you all get it. People will call and they'll ask, if I want to get into this industry, and I'll always ask them, why do you want to do this? And they'll say, well, you're making great money. I want to make great money. But if that's the first answer I get, then I know they don't have an accountability aspect. They're not in a place where they feel kind of a backed against the wall and they've got to do something with themselves because they've got mouths to feed at home. Or, they've got to keep this health insurance they're about to lose, and because of whatever. Without hell, you hit the nail on the head. If you do not have an accountability piece, even if you create one, just create an accountability piece. Faith should be a good one. That should be right there. But mouths to feed at home, family to take care of, your bills to pay. And some people don't look at those things as accountability. They don't care if they pay their bills or not. But those are all real accountability factors. If you keep those in right here, you keep them in your pocket, and you remind yourself every day that this is I'm not doing this because I want to drive a nice car. I'm doing this because people depend on me, or my accountability piece is depending on me doing this. Um, that's what's going to help you be successful in this. And if you really take it to heart and you really do, then you're going to find a way to succeed in this business, especially if you're taking care of people. And you just care about that kind of thing. So I can't say any more than what you all said. You hit all the four corners of the room there. So
Yeah, I mean, I think accountability is so important with what Mac just said. And when we mentioned faith, um, one of my favorite podcasters is a guy named Ed Milet, and
oh
he
goodness, yeah.
said something a while back in one of his podcasts that said, "Imagine dying." I know this sounds morbid, but he said, "Imagine dying, and you meet your creator, and he shows you all that he had planned for you to do, and you didn't fulfill what your purpose was."
Mm.
And I mean, so the accountability, it goes to my creator, but especially when you have a family at home, I feel like I'm stealing if I'm not being 100% productive, and I'm stealing from them if I'm not doing that. But it can also work flip side too, because I know we're talking about a lot of work things, but if I if all I am is a loan officer 24 hours a day, I'm also stealing time from my family. And I don't want my kids or my wife to think that the next transaction is more important than they are as a human being, right? So, I mean, it's a very um, work-life balance is hard, and I want to just transition to that just a little bit. I mean, it's a very difficult thing because when you're in sales, we could literally keep it on all the time, right? I mean, I played a game last night with my family. And then after that was over, I sat down. My favorite baseball team was on TV playing. They're on the West Coast, so it was about 10 o'clock. But I got my computer back out and worked till about midnight watching baseball. And it's like I was thinking about that today. Like you could work all day. You can work all day. So how do you balance things? As you know, tell me, as a husband and wife team working in real estate, how do you balance it between yourself and turn it off at home?
All right.
Well, we'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll be super transparent here, right?
Oh, yeah.
So for me, I do an awful job. I'll tell you that now of shutting it off.
I don't think so.
I do have my seasons.
Go ahead. With
you, yeah. So anyway, so with that, it's like I need to do a better job of that. However, I will say, we keep hearing through coaches that we talk to and that type of thing. It's like that there is no true balance necessarily. It's more of how do we integrate this into our day-to-day per se, and then make sure that we not only block time for revenue generating, but we block time for like date nights for us. We block out time to make sure that we're doing something individually with the kids and put that on the calendar and protect it. So protecting that calendar is huge. And then, having times and they're like, okay, I need to make phone calls for current transactions, that type of thing at this time. And then for us over the summer, what we've done is I've taken on more so that she can be here at the house and be more available with the kids. So what are the bare minimum standards that we have to get out of her as far as from marketing perspective and some other things? So she can do those at a minimum, and then everything else I can take care of, or other people on the team can take care of. So that's what we've kind of found to work for us right now on that front.
Yeah, let me be real with you, because even though we divide and conquer our roles and everything, I've been in it 8 years, you've been in it much longer. But last summer, our family fractured. It just was too much. And every time I was with the kids, I was thinking about work. Every time I was at work, I was thinking about the kids and how it was a disappointment with everything. It affected our health. It affected our kids, everything. So there is no balance. And I tried so hard. So it's been a blessing for him. Like he said, he's taken on 98% of the transactions. And that was just a sacrifice that we had to make. But it has been a beautiful season for our family this summer, and we'll continue that way. But the flip side is we may not be able to service clients very well, as well as we want to, and we have to know that good is kind of good enough right now. In 4 years, when they're out of the house, 6 years, it might be a different story. But I guess all that to say, everybody's situation is a little different. Is make sure you have the right people, because we pretty desperately need another agent, or two. I'm not sure. We're praying through that. We don't like to make quick decisions. We want to make sure that the right people are in place, because culture, like y'all talked about earlier, is huge. And once you get the culture right, then you've got more of that work-life balance. It's all about delegation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But let me just say, there is no such thing as a balance. It really is like what he has told me that I always think about, that I encourage y'all to remember, is to give yourself a break. Like, really identify, I know exactly what I have to do every week, the bare minimum. When I do those 3 tasks, let's say 3 tasks a day, that's got to be good enough. Everything on top of that is just a bonus, and it would be wonderful. And I push myself too hard, and he pushes himself too hard. But yeah, if he gets those 3 tasks done and he does them really, really well, it's okay to shut down and be with your family. Give yourself that permission.
Yeah, and that grace.
I love that. I love that a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I will say too, we went on vacation this year. It's the first time in like 6 years that I didn't work a transaction or deal with any craziness on vacation, because I told the team,
the first time,
y'all do not bother me unless it's an emergency. And they held the line. They took care of everything, and we had the most amazing vacation we've had in years. But that was also me giving up control and ownership, which is very hard because we both like to micromanage. We want everything to be just perfect. So giving up the perfection helps as well. We still want to have a great experience, right, Mac? But it's still gonna be good enough. And with us being high achievers, it's hard for us to see that. But when we can visualize it and embrace it, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Very good. So Mac, you're married. You got 5 kids, I think.
6.
And 6. All right.
Wow.
And on top of all of that, you still serve in the military once every few weeks as well, too, on the weekends, right? And sometimes
Correct.
in the week. And you sell real estate, and you run a brokerage. How do you do it?
Calendar management. And I tell you, it's not, talk about balance. And some people will look at that and goes, oh, okay, so the key is, this is what some would say. The key is, okay, you're cutting your phone off at 5, you're going to go home, you're going to do the home life. And then at 8:30 in the morning, it cuts back on and your calendar is full with business stuff. And then you cut it off again at 5. I don't know that any high production agents can live that life of that type of balance. So balance is going to be subjective for every single person. What's the balance for your life in your house? A lot of it is the balance is going to be based on what is the understanding of goals that you have underneath the roof of your home, if you have a spouse. But it's going to be so different for everybody. Like instance, Madison's got a new baby. Well, her work-life balance is completely different than it was just months ago. I've got 6 kids. Mine's going to be different than somebody's an empty nester. I've got a brokerage. Some agents don't. So it's going to be completely different for every single person, but you just got to have to talk to that partner you have in your life and your team that you have in your business and figure out what that really looks like. And just like Hal said, I'm probably terrible at it. My wife would tell you I'm terrible at it. She is a W-2 worker, which is great, but she's done at doing speech therapy at 3:10 every day, and she's back at it at 8 o'clock the next day. That's it. And it doesn't stop with us. Um, we can pick and choose, but we got to have calendar management. Like Hal said, he just went on vacation. Um, you know, I tell my wife, I said, if our daughter just came into town yesterday and she's here for a week, and I said, well, you got to let me know what the plans are for the week with her dad. And I said, if there's dinners involved, if there's things involved, let me get it on the calendar now so I can manage the calendar for expectations for the week. And as long as we do that, that is the life work balance because I can make, Jill's happy when I'm home. My daughter's happy when we're out doing the things. We're able to do the dinner. I satisfy the private life and I satisfy the work because I can work around the private life. The private life is the priority. Maybe not just going to a random lunch or something, but the typical things. When she's in for the week, there's a priority level there. So I can work the business around the priority. And then she's gone and I can fill those gaps in. And it's always the balance isn't the same day to day. It can change so much.
Yeah.
And again, it's always different. You might have calendar management, but then you might have that transaction going sideways. And it just consumes that time and you got to shift things around. Um, but if you have a life partner, wife, husband, whatever, as long as there's a real solid understanding of what this looks like for you, then hopefully there's that grace within the household that you have to pick that phone up.
Mm-hmm.
Hal, how long you been doing this?
12 years.
Okay, maybe even before Hal was an agent, people didn't mind waiting for that realtor to pick up the phone and answer their call.
Yes.
We didn't have the smartphone stuff. So they would call an agent or walk in. It might be a day, it might be 2 days before they get that phone call and 4 days before they actually get to see the house. But we're in an industry now that if that consumer calls you or texts you and you don't respond, they are moving right on to another agent.
100%.
That's tough because it makes us kind of tied to this
Mm-hmm.
in just the weirdest way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a different space we're in.
And I think there's a whole lot of truth in that. And then I want to go back to what Kris said earlier too, is there are seasons of life, and sometimes I need to be okay with thinking, yes, they can go to a different loan officer right now because my family, and I mean, we've all had different seasons of life we've been in. And if you haven't yet, if you're young like Madison with a new one, you're going to have some seasons of life where all of a sudden things are a whole lot more important than the next sale or the next transaction. So, seasons of life, we just did a whole series on Redeem the Time that kind of talked about that, how Jesus looked at and managed time when he walked the planet. And I learned a whole lot in just looking at that, understanding the right perspective and right priorities. And I think that's amazing. So we've got 5 minutes left. I want to ask one last question because we've got some newer agents that are here, and I think this was not on my list of questions to you guys. So you have to think quick on the spot, and if you could each give me about a 2-minute answer because I'd like to end right at 11. But let's say, and Mac, I'll start with you this time. Let's say God picked you up from Roanoke, Virginia today and dropped you in Sacramento, California, and you're going to start as a brand new realtor today in Sacramento. What's the first 2 or 3 things you would do to start trying to generate business now?
I'm going to partner with, I'm gonna find out who the top lender is. I'm gonna find out who the people in the industry are. I'm gonna meet with them, get my team together. And then I'm gonna learn my particular which area I want to really hone in on first, and it could be the neighborhood I moved into. But I'm gonna visit those shops, and I'm gonna meet with all of those partners that I'm gonna need on my team. Without
Okay,
that foundation, I can't go anywhere.
awesome, cool. Hal and Kris.
I've got an idea. Do you?
You go and then I'll go. I got an idea too.
Excuse me. I would figure out how to provide value. And here's why. If you're constantly asking, come from a servant mindset. So figure out how you can provide value. One of the best things, hopefully I don't steal your answer, that Hal did it when he moved back into town to get to know people is to help them. And he did that through a podcast, Roanoke Podcast for Good. And he just interviewed small business owners and said, hey, you know what? I'm trying to get to know people and the town. I'm going to promote you on this podcast. And it developed some of the richest, deepest relationships. So it would either be a podcast or a social media piece or some way to promote people to help their business. And that principle of
reciprocity.
Thank you. Hopefully they will reciprocate.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So even simpler way, and me, I am Mr. I got to do it my way. I want to do it my way. God has gifted me this way, etc. However, I think if I was starting over, I would strongly consider, especially in a new environment, I would find one of the top teams as far as like real estate teams. Find the right culture fit there, and then you can actually start working with some of their clients, their leads, doing those types of things, versus just starting from scratch necessarily to give you that baseline to get to where you want to be long term. And then also, like Kris said, I would say, just being of service and value, and that could be like, through social media, like questions local. And if you're just moved there, then there are going to be opportunities for you to be like, hey, here's my experience. Just being real and authentic on social will actually draw people to you as well, especially in the AI environment that we're in now. Real person, authentic conversations are going to be huge in person and online in whatever market you're in.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, it's 10:58. Madison, if you notice, there's two Jonathan Sweats on here. One is better looking than the other. The other one did respond to you that you're allowed to add a thought, but the real Jonathan Sweat just saw it. So if you have a quick thought on that, and then while you're talking, Gabe, if you want to pull up the drawing, we'll do that, and then we'll wrap it up here. So Madison, what you got?
I'll just be real quick. This was back on the time management stuff. We were talking about, how to prioritize things between family and work. And I can't remember who shared this or where I got it from, but imagine that you're juggling, right? We're juggling things all of the time. Some of the things that we juggle at work and at home are going to be glass balls, and some of them are going to be plastic balls. So some things at work or at home, you can't afford to drop, because if you drop it, it's glass, it's going to shatter. But some things are plastic. If you drop it, it's going to bounce back up. You can pick things back up. And that applies in both. So when we're juggling, sometimes we need to know, okay, this is a work glass ball, so I'm going to have to drop a home plastic ball to be able to prioritize this, and vice versa. And then you can also build a team who has different priorities, so that, hey, I have to take care of my newborn, but I know Mac is going to be able to take care of this glass ball. Or Mac knows the opposite. Hey, my daughter who lives out of town is in town for the week, so Madison is going to get some of the glass balls this week. And structure your team in a way that you can be flexible and your time can be different, so that the priorities are getting taken care of. And some of the things that can be let go, sometimes you can give yourself grace to let those things go.
That's
Yes.
right. Thank you.
Awesome. Good way to wrap it up. Hey, Hal and Kris and Mac, thank you so much for spending an hour with me and just talking. And we'll be putting this on YouTube. I know it's going to be a big help to a lot of other realtors as well too watching us. So thank you for doing that.